If your company treats recruiting like a cost center, inevitably your job turns into a kind of efficiency theater. What's the solution? Talent P&L. That's going to help you change the category in how people see you, and that could change everything. Your company wants growth. Growth needs people, but most TA leaders are still being measured like an expense line. So leadership squeezes you for faster and cheaper and then acts surprised when hiring doesn't move the business. Today's lever, well, it's Talent P&L. And that's not a spreadsheet, it's a power tool. If you're sick of being treated like a cost center, if you're tired of hearing your CEO say, just hire faster, giving you zero leverage and no extra budget, if you've been trying to explain that employer brand is so much more strategic than just a pretty website, well, you're ready for the next revolution in talent and people. Welcome. I'm James Ellis, and this is Becoming Choosable. And together, we can grow your company from the hire up. Let's show leadership that recruiting, HR, employer brand driving businesses forward by turning people work into growth work. You ready? Well, let's see what the claw machine of destiny has for us today. Today's theme, the Talent P&L, which is going to be a recurring theme. We're going to keep coming back to this over and over again because it's critical for helping you get the leverage you need to make real change. If you want to know more about what the Talent P&L is, how to build your own, and how to sell it up the chain, check out my series. It's on my YouTube channel, walks you through it step by step. Today, we're going to start with something a little more dramatic, kind of. If you're leading TA and you don't have your own talent profit and loss statement, you are trying to win a business argument using HR vocabulary. And business, they don't speak HR. Business speaks constraint, risk, trade-offs, and money. Now, that's not cynical. That's simply how business decisions get made. Let me walk you through it. There's a simple problem we're trying to solve. Companies want growth. All companies want growth. I cannot express that enough. It is not unusual. It's not weird. It is every company. Growth requires people. Try to slice it another way. It doesn't happen. You want to grow. You need better people. But most companies still treat talent like an expense to be minimized, not a lever to be optimized. So talent acquisition gets managed like a cost center. You get focused on cheaper and faster and fewer people, more automations, more requisitions per recruiter, more efficiency. They're playing an efficiency game, and that is not a fun game to live in. You already know that. See, when leadership looks up 6 months later and says, why are all the hires mediocre? Where's our time to productivity? So why is it so slow? Why can't we fill the roles that we actually need to move the revenue? They're going to forget that they've spent the last 6, 12, 18 months squeezing the function that brings in the people to make the money. They're going to blame you. Now, here's the part that's really going to sting, because this is not leadership's fault. Talent teams have accidentally created this trap because we report on what we can easily count. We can count applicants, activity, time to fill averages, cost per hire averages, source mix, clicks, conversion rates. All those things are simple to find, collect, and show on a dashboard. Those numbers aren't evil. They're just not particularly useful or persuasive. Not to the people who allocate the resources anyway. These numbers are operational, but the exec team, the leadership, they're trying to make strategic calls, and those two things don't mix. So even if you're doing what I would consider absolutely heroic work, it still sounds like you're pushing paperwork to them. And that is why the Talent P&L is absolutely necessary, critical to your success. Not because it's a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are great, but they're not magical. And it's not because it's trendy, and it's not because it makes you feel like you know how to speak finance. It's because it forces the company to see the truth they are desperately trying to ignore. Talent is not an overhead cost. Talent is the root that grows the tree. It's the system that converts strategy into outcomes and reality. No product ships without people. No customers get served without people. No sales get made without people. No innovations get built without people. So when TA gets treated like an administrative function, the company isn't being disciplined. They're simply starving the growth engine. And that is a different way of talking about your work. And the Talent P&L is how you change that understanding. It's how you change the category you're in. Categories are kind of everything. Here's the deal. I went to business school. I apologize. It's not something I'm proud of, but I went there and I learned a couple things. The first thing you learn is Businesses work on one simple rule. If it's a cost center, you squeeze it. If it's a profit center, you feed it. Simple as that. Thank God it rhymes, right? For business leaders to remember these things. Profit centers, wow, they get all the opportunities. They get to explore. They get to be creative. They get to invest in effectiveness. They get to try new ways to create value. Cost centers, they get told to shut up. They get told to get efficient, to optimize, to standardize, to reduce, to exploit what they're doing to make it as efficient as humanly possible. And that is exactly the reality that most talent acquisition leaders are living through right now. Your team, yes, your team is being asked to be more efficient. Run the same playbook, but harder. Post more, message more, push candidates faster, automate more steps, which would be fine, I guess, but the market keeps getting noisier. Candidates are getting pickier. Competition is getting better at recruiting and selling. And your own company keeps pushing out this language that sounds more and more generic. So the true efficiency becomes this. Don't. So what looks like and sounds like efficiency is really about doing the wrong work faster and harder. That's not a strategy. That's a treadmill with a logo. What the talent P&L does, it gives you a new lever. It says, we can keep squeezing the process, or we can protect growth by investing in the part that actually changes outcomes. Again, words that you should all be saying over and over and over again. Here's why it works. The P&L is a language that leadership understands. It's about decision making. It's not a report. It's a framework of trade-offs. It's how you get out of the world of, please listen to my recruiting pain, and into the world of, here's the business constraint, here's the risk, here's the potential outcomes, here are the options. Because when you deliver and show and talk about a talent P&L, you're not asking to be taken seriously. You're showing that you already are. You're saying, I'm going to hold my function accountable the way other strategic functions do. Marketing doesn't walk into a room and say, we did 47 campaigns. They talk about pipeline. They talk about cost of customer acquisition. They talk about conversion. They talk about these are the places where we're underinvesting, and here's what the next bet needs to be. The product team doesn't say, we shipped 12 features. They say, here's retention, here's adoption, here's our roadmap bets, here's the trade-offs. Supply chain doesn't say, we processed a lot of purchase orders. They say, here's the risk, here's resilience, here are the choices to be made, here's what happens when this part fails. Meanwhile, the talent acquisition team walks in and says, here's our requisitions. And that's exactly why we get treated like administrators. The talent P&L changes what your work means in the room. It takes TA from service desk to growth partner. Now, if you're thinking, okay, James, that sounds great, but what does it actually change? Well, it changes your ability to create impact in 3 specific ways. 1, it makes your value visible and not just implied. Most talent acquisition value is invisible because the cost is obvious and the upside is just assumed. Everybody sees the recruiting budget, everybody sees the agency fees, everybody sees the job board spend, but the value of better hiring is usually described like weather. We think hiring is important. We believe people are our greatest asset. Okay, cool, whatever. So is sunlight, but that doesn't get you budget. The talent P&L makes the value tangible. It forces organizations to look at what they're actually paying for when hiring goes poorly. What the cost is of vacancy, of delays, of the wrong hire, of churn, of constant rework, the cost of having managers spend their life interviewing instead of building. When you translate those into business terms, you stop being the department that's asking for more resources. You become the department showing what the business is leaking. And execs will fund a leak fix faster than they'll fund a best practice. 2, it changes what you're allowed to do. Remember that cost center rule? Cost centers get squeezed and standardized, and profit centers get creativity and exploration. As long as TA is framed as a cost center, the company will always punish you for trying anything that looks different, anything that looks creative. Brand work, proof building, candidate research, relationship building, hiring manager enablement, all that stuff. It might be strategic, it might be incredibly valuable, but it's not what cost centers do. It looks like you're just slowing things down to the people who are just measuring your throughput. The talent P&L gives you permission to do effective work because you can justify it as growth protection investment. You're not saying, let me make content. You're saying we are losing critical candidates at the finish line, and it's costing us this amount of money. Here's the trade-off. Here's the lever. That's how you earn the right to explore and not just be efficient. And that leads us to number 3, which might be my favorite, is that it upgrades your influence. Now, here's the quiet part. TA leaders do not get a seat at the table because they're really good at recruiting. They get a seat at the table because they're good at business. And the talent P&L is all about showing off your business acumen, your ability to think in terms of the business. It gives you a map of where the company is trying to grow and where hiring is constraining that growth. That is what strategic leaders are supposed to do. They identify the constraints and propose solutions and trade-offs. And once you're doing that, you stop being evaluated on how fast you fill jobs. You start being evaluated on whether the company can execute the plan. That is a different job. That's a different level of trust, a different level of power. Now, there is one more reason the talent P&L matters, and you're not going to like it. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. It forces accountability. If you're going to claim impact, you also got to own the outcomes. That's why a lot of talent teams avoid this framing. It feels risky. It puts them on the chopping block. It puts them in a spot where they're on the hook. What if the numbers look bad? What if you can't prove that value? What if you show the gap and the leadership expects you to fix it? But that's the deal. You got to put yourself in that spot. You got to be on the hook for people to say, we're going to give you the chance to solve it. We're going to give you the autonomy. We're going to give you the budget to make it happen. But the talent P&L does tend to depersonalize the conversation. When results slip, you're not defending your worth as a human or your team's value. You're diagnosing a system. You're diagnosing a problem. The P&L gives you a grown-up way to say, this is the reality. This is the cost. Here are the options. Here's what we recommend. What should we do? That is how people lead. So if you're a TA leader and you felt stuck, here's what I'm thinking. You're not stuck because recruiting is hard. I mean, it is. Let's be fair. You're stuck because you're being evaluated with the wrong lens. The talent P&L is how you change the lens. So, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to do the nuts and bolts of how to build this because I already did that in a 3-part series on YouTube. This episode is simply why you need it. Because until you can show that your work in business terms, the business will always keep treating you like a paper pusher, like an admin. And you cannot culture your way out of that. You cannot better stakeholder manager your way out of that. You cannot post more jobs your way out of that. You got to change the model. So what's the move you can do this week? Here it is. Luckily, it's simple. Take one growth goal your company has. One. You should have no problems finding it. Tie it to the roles on your requisition, open requisitions that you have that will make that goal happen. Connect the dots. Then write one sentence that connects the hiring to business terms, not TA terms, business terms. So for example, if we do not hire X role by Y date, we delay Z outcome. And the costs are approximately this. That one sentence is the seed of your entire P&L. Frankly, if you can nail that sentence and get real comfortable saying it, you almost don't need to build your actual P&L. That sentence is how you start to get your seat at the table without asking for permission. Now, here's a surprising thing that is actually holding you back from making this real. And that is you're measuring the wrong thing. Because if you're leading with a lot of cost per hire metrics as your driver, as your headline, you're actually agreeing that the goal is to spend less, right? If your cost per hire is your key metric, everybody wants to shrink that. Fastest way to shrink that, cut your costs, cut your spending. But cost per hire is a trailing indicator. It tells you what happened way after the fact. It doesn't say anything about what the cost of the delay is, what the cost of the vacancy was, what the cost of losing critical talent at the finish line was. If you want to be treated like a growth function, which you are, you got to focus on growth constraints, not accounting artifacts. You got to talk about the value you're bringing to the table and the limitations to how you bring that value. If you're going to do this, and I highly recommend you do, you have to embrace the fact that there will be pushback. You are throwing a wrench in leadership's thinking, and this is going to slow them down. This is going to lead to them saying, whoa, why are we doing this? So prepare for the following 3 objections. The first is recruiting doesn't generate revenue, which is true. It doesn't technically, but it does control whether revenue can happen on time. Without people, you can't actually achieve the growth plan. The talent P&L is here to show the cost of that delay when we can't staff the plan and offer options on how we can make it happen. If you hear that this sounds like a request for more budget, yes, but no. It's a request for better allocation of budget. If we're spending money, we should know what the outcome is it's buying and what it's failing to buy. We need to see what the money is doing so we can make better decisions. And if you hear that these numbers aren't perfect, Well, no one's numbers are perfect, except for accounting, so that's separate. What you're going to say is, this is how we make decisions. The P&L makes assumptions explicit so that everybody can see how we're thinking about this so that we can improve them instead of just always guessing based on unstated understandings. Ready to get started? Forward this episode to one leader who still thinks talent acquisition is just filling seats and ask them one simple question. What is the cost of not hiring the roles that drive growth? And now, the choosability canvas. All right, in today's choosability canvas, Figma. Now, if you don't know Figma, you are not clearly in the web design or design space. Figma is a big deal. For a long time, it was companies like Adobe's Illustrator and Photoshop that were dominating the space, and Figma kind of started to really break that by building all those tools in a completely web space. It was very radical, very interesting, and as a user, it's a really cool tool. If you have people and friends who are in the design and web design community, they absolutely know it. So we're going to talk about them because they are a pretty disruptive company. In fact, they're listed on the CNBC's list of the Disrupt 50, which is where all the initial companies we're doing these canvases are going to come from. Remember, if you've got a company you'd like me to review on the canvas, just let me know, either in the notes or on LinkedIn, where you can always find me. Otherwise, we're just going to keep rolling with the CNBC's list of the Disrupt 50. If this is interesting stuff and you'd like to learn more about this Disrupt 50, I did a whole report on how they are presenting themselves as employers. So check it out. It's in the notes somewhere in the description somewhere. It's just the CNBC Disrupt 50 report. So let's get into Figma. Now, remember, we're not here to kind of say, do I like it? Is it pretty? Is it good? What matters here is how well is it competing? Is it standing out? Is it clear? Is it offering something that I can understand? Is it offering something that perhaps I might want and be attracted to? Are they proving it in a way that's really, really clear? And how do we do that? Well, the canvas says, start at the top. I'm looking backwards. Survey, I'm looking at myself, looking at the thing. This is so meta. We start with a survey. We got to understand the competition set. So normally when we do this for a company, we might do 10, 12 companies. We don't have time for that. So we're going to pick one. And who is Figma's most obvious competitor? Well, let's talk to Canva. And Canva, I feel certain you know who Canva is. They are a simplified Illustrator and Photoshop on the web. So kind of like Figma, but simpler and straightforward that pretty much everybody can use. Where Figma is a little more professional, a little more detailed and feature rich, Canva is a little bit more on the everybody can use it side. Now, when you land on Canva's talent story, the rough promise sounds like this. Join a values-led company on a global mission to empower the world to design, and your work will have outsized impact because our growth funds doing good. That's kind of their big pitch. It's not a slogan. They actually, do very smart things by making it repeatable, and they make it clear, and they have a framework around it. And the framework itself is interesting. It's called the two-step plan. First, build one of the world's most valuable companies, and then do as much good as we can. Okay, and that's interesting. That's different. That's, you've seen some companies, kind of Warby Parker and who would make the shoes, right? You bought a pair of shoes and they would give shoes to somebody who was poor. I can't remember what they were called. Was it Tom's? I think that was Tom's. If it's not Tom's, I apologize. I'm misremembering. But it's a nice idea, and it's a two-step plan. It's kind of built into what they do. It's a bit of a mechanism. It's like a story that employees can tell at a barbecue without kind of like needing a bunch of slides. Really nice. It's kind of a viral story that they can share. So then Canva backs it up by proof by policy, which I'm always a huge, huge fan, right? Companies build policies and to make things real. You don't just kind of say, we like things, you build policies because you're going to do these things. So more than just say we support families, they talk about their 18-week paid parental leave, which is a pretty solid showing, especially here in the United States. They don't just support well-being, they really have a thing called a Vibe and Thrive allowance for office setup, for professional development, for well-being. They even have dedicated amount of time to go volunteer. So in a lot of ways, they're doing some things that are very right. Like if you think in terms of SADR, specific, attractive, different, and real, yeah, that's two-step plan is pretty specific. That 18 weeks is pretty specific. The named benefit package is pretty specific, so check there. Is it attractive? Well, big goals, global scale, some meaning. Yeah, I can see that. Not for me necessarily, but certainly for some people, I can see it. Could it be tighter? Could it be stronger? Could it be sharper? Yeah, but overall, no problems, nothing bad here. Different? Well, growth for good is a bit of a twist, right? On that generic sense of we're on a rocket ship and we're going up forever, and it's a money train and we're going huge and we're all unicorn status and all that stuff. That sense that you're growing not just for the sake of growing and not just for shareholders, but for really to do good in the world. Yeah, it's a different twist. Is it real? Well, you've got some policies and some structure that kind of make it feel a little more tangible than the usual. So that's the competitive frame. That's the survey section of this. So I guess the question is, where does Figma sit next to this? So if we look at Figma, their position is primarily build the future of design collaboration with a community-first team, because nothing great is made alone. Now, please note that last part, because nothing great is made alone. That is the thing that kind of makes Figma, right? Everybody says, hey, we love to design. Hey, collaboration is great. Community, yay. But really their whole pitch is nothing great is made alone, that they work together. The tool is made to help work people together. As a company, people are expected to work together in a very intentional way. That's a nice pitch. It's a little different. It's not something I hear every time. It's not something I hear every place. And it's not something that inherently people are just generally going to like. Not everybody's going to like. Some people be like, I'm not into that. And that's great. If there's a sense that not everybody's going to want this, that's actually a good sign that you've got a strong position. You should not be inherently gorgeous. You are not selling cute puppies. You are selling choices in jobs. So it should repel people. It should kind of make people kind of go, I'm not feeling that. That's all good, right? So it's really this sense that Figma is designed around and designed for the sense that design and great design work isn't the lone genius designer at 2 a.m. caffeinated and freaked out and holed up, hoarding layers and doing all this stuff like they managing the secrets of the universe. No. It's the sense that it's multiplayer, which is a word they use a couple of times. It's, the kitchen, not some sort of chef's private laboratory, right? It's the difference between one person making a souffle in silence and an entire crew in the restaurant line, kind of working and communicating in short bursts of information, but still in a relatively quiet way, so the service doesn't really collapse. It's useful, it's functional, it's a kind of scale, which is really interesting. And that's what I like about their angle. It's not just designed for everyone like Canva, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's designed together. Right? And that means that the people they want to design with you, they have to allow for some of these designers or participants in the design are designers and they have a level of expertise, and some are not. Some are casual, or they just might be stakeholders and they might want to understand, hey, I want to look at it, but I don't necessarily need to know every last little nitty bitty, pixel level and stuff like that. So it's an interesting sense of shared craft. And they reinforce it with some really nice, what I would think of as vernacular or cultural language that's really fairly memorable, right? Obviously build community, they could say build community, but instead they say things like, we're multiplayer people. That is right? There's a twist. There's a phrasing there that makes you go, that's going to stick in my head. That's something that isn't the same old. And I want to kind of highlight this. Being different isn't about reinventing yourself and being crazy different. It is these subtle changes in language, subtle changes in position, subtle changes in how you present yourself. It doesn't have to be radical or crazy. That subtlety, there's just simply the vernacular can do a lot. And they talk about run with it, right? They want you to kind of run with it, to have initiative, to be bold. There's not a playbook. They want you to love your craft. They want you to grow as you go. It's good language and stuff I'm not necessarily seeing other places. So kind of good, strong positioning, good, strong definition of that position. They're kind of pointing it and orienting it in the right way. And, they've got some nice kind of proof points, right? They've got Makers Week, which is this tangible mechanism for experimentation so that everybody can show up and everybody can kind of see it and everybody can see what that collaboration looks like. Everybody works together. So, right, is it specific, attractive, different, real? Yeah. It's got that multiplayer people, run with it, Maker Week stuff, very specific. It's attractive to an audience who cares about the craft and working together and knowing that they can be better if they work with other people very well. It's different in that it's collaboration is identity, and it's not just teamwork for, because we say so, because it sounds like whatever you're supposed to say. And it's real, right? There's clearly traditions at work, that Makers Week is an ongoing thing. There are tools and policies and mechanisms that exist. It's not just a bunch of posters and bumper stickers. So how do they communicate it? Well, this is where, those frameworks start to be really, really useful. That benefit is proof, super powerful. right? They say effectively, here's what we want to do, here's how we fund it, and here's how it impacts you. And I love that. It draws that really clear line of not just we're going to say nice things, but hey, we've been thoughtful. We can't offer you everything. This is what we've chosen to offer you. This is how we're proving it, and this is what it looks like. And that is a level of clarity and a level of concreteness and credibility that you just don't see very often. I really do have to kind of tip my hat to some of that work. It's really good stuff. And they use that and leverage that with the vernacular and their taxonomy, right? The special language, the multiplayer. There's nothing great made alone. It's the candidate repeatable things that kind of make what is special about Figma something that shares. The same way Canva does that too, right? The two-step plan is there, but they're pointing in different directions. So suddenly they could be competing, but really they're starting to create some separation to say, okay, we're proving these ideas, but in different directions, and that's fine. That makes it so that everybody's not applying to both because they think they're both the same. They're picking and choosing. They're saying, oh, this is offering this one, this is offering that one, I prefer this one, or whatever that is, right? I will say, they've got receipts and they got Makers Week, but they've got traditions, but they could always go farther to show the receipts, to show more proof, to do a lot more. Here's what collaboration looks like in practice across functions, right? Not just designers, not just coders, but show me the other teams. Do the recruiters collaborate? Does legal collaborate? Does sales collaborate? Assuming they have a sales team, I presume they do. There's lots of other teams. They should be collaborating. Show those stories. Just because they're not designers and you're for designers, you're not just hiring designers. You want to show how collaboration isn't just for one team. A great way to prove an idea is to show how that idea is true in the least likely team, right? You want to say you're fun? Show me how the lawyers are having fun. If I see the lawyers are having fun, okay, I'm starting to believe that you actually have fun. Right, their career site does start with a careers at Figma, which I think is a huge missed opportunity. I think there's a whole lot of ways they could kind of frame everything they were trying to say. That collaboration should have started right there and they missed a shot. But beyond that, I think it's a strong career site. But beyond that, opportunities they could use to connect truly with the audience they want are things like, well, that make nothing great is made alone idea. Turn it into like an operating model. Make it more embedded into the day-to-day. It's not just a belief. Show me how it connects to all these policies, to these decisions, how collaboration is effectively designed and implemented like a system, like any other system, right? Like Slack or, I don't know, Gmail or whatever, right? How do you implement these ideas so it's not just a nice thing to say? More proof density, right? More day in the life, more, and day in the life I always kind of beat up on is saying, everybody says it, but if you know what story you're trying to tell, your day in the life story should prove that story. It shouldn't just be another generic day in the life where it says, oh good, we're super friendly, and that says nothing. If you know you're all about collaboration, show me collaboration in a day in the life. Show me at the beginning, the middle, the end, all that stuff. That's an opportunity to really dive deep and make something like a day in the life video stand for something, mean something, really kind of move the needle. You could sharpen the whole who this is for. It's a little vague, it's a little soft, it's a little, it just seems kind of open and we'll let you figure it out. But I think they could be more clear. I think they could just kind of tighten the aperture around who they want to talk to and who they want to engage. And also I'm just going to say this because given that it's a company with a pretty strong consumer brand halo, they seem to be leaning on that consumer brand halo to cover up some of the gaps, some of the cracks. Like the lack of proof is all kind of covered up with oh, hey, everybody knows who Figma is. We're a big company. Adobe tried to buy us once. We're all good, right? Yeah and no. You could do so much better with that. So to wrap up, Figma's doing great work. Got a great canvas here. They got a strong position, strong language, all that good stuff. I think there's a chance to do more, especially in the connection side where they really truly are focused on the audience they're trying to serve, the employees they want to bring in because they know that they're aligned, and to spell that out. All right. That's the choosability canvas for Figma. If you'd like your company or another company to be mentioned or focused on, let me know on LinkedIn or leave a comment here. I'd love to kind of chat about it. If you'd like to see the report, check out the CNBC Disrupt 50 Employer Brand Report. I think I should pop up on Google that way. Otherwise, I will leave a link in the description. Otherwise, you want to learn more about the canvas? Yep, it's all here. Go check out Becoming Choosable, available on Amazon, anywhere in the world. So thanks so much for watching. Let's wrap it up. So what have we learned today? We've learned that your job is not to be a cheaper recruiting machine. Your job is to protect growth by bringing in the people who make it happen. If they can't choose, you will lose. So Get serious about your talent P&L and share this with one person, someone on the people side who's a rebel who needs more leverage by Monday. Because together, that's how you're going to grow your company from the higher up. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. This podcast is brought to you by the book Becoming Choosable, available on Amazon in paperback or ebook. And by Employer Brand Labs. Stop walking into exec meetings unarmed. Bring a strategy. See you next time.